Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to discuss Jupiter's transit in Pisces for moon sign Aries. Generally we see transit from moon sign, but it will work well from the sun sign and ascendant too. And now in this video we'll discuss moon sign Aries but natal Jupiter in various houses. Since Jupiter is coming in the 12th house for moon sign Aries, it is inauspicious generally because it causes separation from the family, financial difficulties because expenses will be more as 12th houses, house of expenses, disturbed domestic peace, 12th houses for hospitalization, so deterioration of health will take place. That's why a person will go to the hospital to get himself cured. And losses, expenses also, and losses in gambling, speculation, or some investment which might not work well. Enemies will increase because from moon it's in the 12th house, and unexpected problem may arise. So in general, like if whenever Jupiter comes in the 12th house from moon, it is inauspicious period. But Jupiter's position in different houses may alter it. Certain places will be good and certain places will not be so good. And now let's venture into it fully. Let's assume that Jupiter is also in the Aries, your natal Jupiter. This Jupiter, we are taking it as natal Jupiter and outside Jupiter because it will remain in all slides here only. And this Jupiter we are taking as transiting Jupiter, which will reach in the 12th house. In this situation, as Jupiter is the lord of 9th and 12th house, and Jupiter from transiting Jupiter from natal Jupiter is 12th, 1, 12, 2, 12 situation is there. Person will spend more on himself and more on family's situation, and family's situation will go bad. Otherwise this moon Jupiter together here are making Gajkesari Yog, and 4th and 9th connection over here makes them buy properties in Jupiter's Dasha. Here from Jupiter is aspecting 4th house from 12th house, so it will give them properties also, and they'll buy properties on their own names. And because of this 212 situation from natal to transiting Jupiter, it will cause little bit problems in expenditure only. The native would like to spend on himself, but people around them and people in the family would want him to spend on family, and foreign going will be facilitated. He can go to foreign countries for travel because 9, 12, and 1 will be activated at that point of time. And but it shows death of a relative also, especially when Jupiter is present in the first house, and unexpected problems. People can make problem for them by backbiting, and ladies problem will be there. If the native is a lady, she might get some reproductive system problems while Jupiter is transiting Pisces in this one. Now let's consider when natal Jupiter is in Taurus. Now natal Jupiter and transiting Jupiter is 311, which is a very good combination, natal and transiting being 311 to each other. And now the family will support the native. If the native has somebody who wants to get married, then a family marriage can take place and domestic peace will be maintained. Your enemies will be annihilated, and because as it is, natal Jupiter is looking at sixth house of litigation and enemies, and Jupiter from 12th also is looking at aspecting sixth house, so enemies will be annihilated. And moreover, you can think of getting out of court settlement by paying certain things to the opponent party. This will happen when the natal Jupiter is in Taurus. Now we'll explore when the natal Jupiter is in the Gemini. This is win-win situation because Jupiter to Moon situation becomes 311, and Jupiter natal Jupiter to transiting Jupiter condition becomes 410, that is in Kendra to each other, and 311 is good position. Here there might be sale of a property. If you want to sell it, it's the right time to sell the property. And because Jupiter represents third, and your younger brother will rise in the profession of his, and you can go for foreign travel, for anything that serves your purpose, for business or for travel purposes only. And here your younger brother will gain so much in his profession, and your family will help you. Whatever expenses you'll be having, they'll be taken care of by the family. And of course, there shows here some problem to mother's health. In this slide, we'll see that natal Jupiter is in fourth house. It is making Gaj Kesri Yog when ninth lord and fourth lord, of course, 12th lord is there, but Jupiter's Mool Trikon sign is in the ninth house. Ninth and fourth connection always gives loss of property. Jupiter in fourth house gives long life to mother. And now the natal Jupiter and the transiting Jupiter is 5-9 to each other, which gives good results. Mother's happiness will be increased by spell and bounds, and it's a time to buy a property because transit and dasha both are supporting the buying of property, and father can also make a new property of his, and native will have a change in profession, increase in salary, but expenses will be more too, because he might be shifted to a place where the living expenses might be higher even if he's paid better than before. In this horoscope, we see that Jupiter, natal Jupiter, is in fifth house. And now transiting Jupiter and natal Jupiter is in 6-8 relationship. That doesn't sound good for anything. Only thing which it promises, if the second pariah is there, person is between 12 to 24 years, he can go abroad for education. But there also there'll be a lot of hurdles in it. He'll get good marks, but he will take time to get used to studying over there. If the third pariah of Jupiter is there, then there's a lot of problem will be there in the conception, and they might get problem in delivery of the child also. But if the person is trying to study for the some spiritual sciences, this combination will help him to study properly, and he can go in research where he can learn new things and might come up with a new discovery too. Now Jupiter is in the sixth house. Here Jupiter is Kendra to the natal Jupiter, transiting Jupiter in Kendra to the natal Jupiter. But with Moon, this Jupiter is making Shatashtak, so dosha, which is not good. The good points in this position will be that he'll be healed because sixth house is debts and 12th house is repayment of debts. All his debts might clear at this point of time. If you remember Amitabh Bachchan's Kundli, his Lagna is in 11th sign and Jupiter is in the 6th house, exalted Jupiter in the 6th house, and Moon is in the 9th house. When he was bankrupt in 2000, KBC started, and with KBC's income, all his debts got cleared and he became financially very good. For finances, this position is good. So, whosoever has Ascendant Aries or Moon Aries or Sun sign Aries, some debts will be cleared and some long lasting disease will also get cured. In this, we'll see Jupiter is in the 7th Rashi and it is making Gaj Kesri Yoga with Moon. And Moon is Lord of 4th house and Jupiter in 9th and 12th house. This position, because Jupiter from transiting Jupiter from natal Jupiter is 6-8 and from Moon it is 2-12. So if it's second pariah of Jupiter, it will be a difficult time to get married. If a person is already married, lots of problem in married life because 12th Lord and 7th, it doesn't, even if somebody has gotten lucky because Jupiter is also in 9th Lord too, that is Luck's house. But when the second half of Dasha is running and Jupiter comes in transit in 12th house gets activated, lots of expenses in marriage or lots of expenses for litigation in marriage too. And problem in married life, people might proceed for divorce proceedings too. So the situation here will be very bad for domestic peace and specifically for married life problems will be there. In this horoscope, we see the natal Jupiter is in the 8th house in Scorpio sign. With Moon, it is making Shatashtak dosha, and 9th Lord and 8th says that problem to father, any health problems, and it is making 12th Lord is also in 8th. It gives rise to Vipreet Raj Yoga, but it doesn't help in getting good health. Especially when Jupiter goes in Pisces now in 12th house from Moon, it gives lots of health problems and continuous going to hospitals, medical travel might be there, and somehow liver problems can also arise. A person can get low immunity levels at this point of time and might have to go for hospitals for everyday problems. In this horoscope, we see that mm, natal Jupiter is in the 9th house, which is very good. 9th Lord and 9th, father's health will be good and his profession will be good. And now Jupiter has gone to the 12th house and it will give good result. From natal Jupiter, the transiting Jupiter is 410 and it gives reputation to father where he'll be awarded or he'll buy a new property. If the fourth pariah is going on, it depicts the birth of a grandchild to male grandchild. So this is good thing to happen for moonline moon sign Aries people or ascendant Aries people, when the Jupiter is in the ninth house in the natal horoscope. Natal Jupiter in the 10th house. Here, Jupiter doesn't give any good effects. Especially this transit will give worse effects for the profession. As it is, profession won't be good, but here Jupiter going in 12th house, some fines, some losses, boss might become angry, and somehow the situation at home will also not be very good because Jupiter in 12th over here aspects 4th house. Since Jupiter becomes debilitated here, so it won't give any good result regarding the house also. Natal Jupiter in 11th house in 11th sign. This is a good position for Jupiter to be in. But now, transiting Jupiter and natal Jupiter has 212 relationship. That doesn't depict good things because there'll be a lot of expenses. Whatever you earn will be lost because investment might go wrong. And of course, mm, certain cheating might take place, or you'll have to pay certain fines which you didn't know that you will be paying. In second pariah of Jupiter, the elder brother might benefit. He might get a good bank account, bank balance, and good reputation in the business or job. Otherwise, for the native itself, this position is not good for that. Now, the natal Jupiter and transiting Jupiter with each other in the same house. And whenever Jupiter comes on top of Jupiter, it gives very good result. For the native, there'll be a new property, buying of a new property or inheritance he'll get, unexpected means. Where he never thought of getting a property from, he'll get that. And father can also get property if the Jupiter is in first or second pariah, or otherwise third pariah onwards, the native himself will get a property. So this will be a very good position for a person to buy a property. Otherwise, for other things, it won't be so good because domestic peace will be ruined. Might have to take a loan to buy the property, and profession wise also they won't be so good. Only buying of property by spending money. You might have to spend more than the property is worth. So this will be okay position, but yes, you can buy property. This is the only positive thing, Jupiter coming on top of the Jupiter in transit. So let's hope it helped you any. If you like the video, please subscribe, share and like and give comment in the comment box. Thank you very much.